and welcome to the first episode of the BOP panel discussion series, Women at Work. Today's conversation brings together 5 exceptional women whose career took on different trajectories. Among them are entrepreneurs, bankers, legal professionals, and business leaders. Women who have led companies, scaled institutions, switched paths, and stayed the course when things got tough. They didn't share the same industry and they didn't follow the same roadmap. What they do share, however, is experience, real decisions made at real crossroads, moments where they had to take risks, adapt, start over, or simply keep going when the road wasn't clear. This conversation is for anyone figuring out their own professional journey, whether you're just starting out, thinking about making a change, building something from scratch, or quietly wondering what the next chapter should look like. We're less interested in polished success stories and more on the honest parts, what worked, what didn't, and what they learned along the way. My name is Hamza, and I will be moderating today's session. It's a pleasure to welcome our panel. Start with Ms. Amna Zaidi. Ms. Zaidi is a seasoned leader in the textile and sustainability space. She currently serves as Chief Operating Officer of the Textile Marketing Company and the Managing Director of Sam's Global Trading FZCO. She is also the CEO of Mehergarh Kasht Private Limited. Her work spans product development, consultancy, and blockchain-enabled sustainable textiles, combining innovation with impact. Next, we have Ms. Hifza Saad Khan. Ms. Khan's journey is a powerful example of reinvention. She began her career in banking, spending 7 years with leading institutions such as ABN AMRO and Emirates Bank International, where she last served as branch head. In 2010, she transitioned into entrepreneurship, growing a one-room home setup into a thriving salon business with over 4 branches and a team of over 400 professionals. Next up, Ms. Maliha Amin. She brings over 2 decades of experience in B2B marketing and sales leadership. As Director Marketing and Sales at IMI Garments, she has led high-impact strategies with a strong focus on results and ROI. Beyond corporate leadership, she serves on the boards of 2 education-focused trusts and has developed accelerated learning programs for out-of-school children, blending business excellence and social impact. Next up is Ms. Uruj Sohail. Ms. Uruj is a banking executive with more than 22 years of experience, particularly in digital transformation, financial inclusion, and customer-centric innovation. She's currently serving as head of retail finance at the Bank of Punjab, and she leads consumer lending and SME portfolios serving over 135,000 active customers through fully digitized processes. She has launched flagship initiatives such as the e-business Karza and SME digital finance, and her work has earned prestigious challenge funds from Karandaz and the State Bank of Pakistan. Finally, last but not least, we have Sayyida Sundas Tawqeer. Ms. Sundas is a legal and compliance professional with nearly a decade of cross-sector experience. She currently serves as Unit Head Legal Affairs at the Bank of Punjab, overseeing corporate and regulatory matters, contractual and operational affairs, and labor and HR issues. Her expertise lies in contracts, risk identification, and navigating complex regulatory environments. So quite the panel we have here, and fortunate to have you guys. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you so much, Hamza. I think that was a lovely introduction.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And looking forward to a wonderful session with you. Okay. So let's start with understanding the modern career landscape as far as women at work are concerned. From your experience, what are the main challenges that women face in today's corporate world? And how are they different from the challenges that they used to face in the past?
I would like to add here that basically careers are not anymore very linear.
Uh-huh.
Back in the days, there used to be that we used to complete our studies, then we used to focus on one career, and then it's just all about going on in that particular field. Now, people even the modern landscape allows you to even change your careers, to change your professions, and even take breaks, and those are very normal. So things have changed big time. Another thing we can look at in the modern era is that in earlier days, we would choose career according to the societies, according to our circumstances. We would look at, oh no, this career is not good for women. They cannot be bankers. They cannot be a sales or marketing person. But now, yes, women can be in any role. So this is another great change. Third aspect is that skills now matter more than titles and the the company you work for.
Absolutely.
If you can lead something, if you can innovate something, if you can do something which can bring about a change in the society, that matters a lot. Earlier there used to be the big titles and the big company names that would drive your career, but it does hold true in today's time, but not to that extent. Then the biggest change, which maybe probably thanks to COVID has bring about, is that now you can work in a hybrid environment. Around the world, things have changed. Earlier, there used to be offices, there used to be a routine according to set patterns you have to work. Now, even if I talk about my own self, we work around the clock. We choose timings and we choose our working style according to the needs and according to the
work at hand,
project.
yeah.
The project requirements and the work which is or the timelines which are building up some pressure on us. So these are the kind of the changes which are there, and they have actually changed the entire landscape for the females particularly. If your second question was about that
How they've changed.
how they are impacting us and how the women have to adopt to these changes.
Yes.
So I think the first question we should ask, a woman should ask herself, is what does she want? What is her actually the area where she wants to excel in? So she should choose around different items, maybe her work life balance or the kind of skills she wants to excel in, and or the kind of career growth she's looking at. So all these things I think will help out in choosing a good career and in helping her to move forward and
As I understand, prioritize career.
prioritize career. Prioritization is very important.
Absolutely. Anyone else have something to add on this?
So I think, in my opinion, we should very honestly establish how things have changed for women in a working environment. To give you a bit of perspective, I've spent 7 years in a corporate environment at ICI Pakistan. That's how I started my career. And this was back in 2004, long time ago. And of course, the world has become very fast-paced. You've got technology, you've got careers changing. As you know, it was mentioned before, there are a lot of opportunities for women now which did not exist previously. Having said that, barriers also were very visible for women. You know, it was always that, oh, you're a woman, you can't do so-and-so roles, or this role is meant for you. Now the roles and the barriers are actually different. They're invisible. And that is where I feel that it's a little complex, and women need to take note of it and take advantage of it. So, for example, barriers are now a little structural and cultural. And we, believe that leadership pipeline actually exists, whereas you may think it exists. Right? There also this bias, and I feel that whenever there's a performance appraisal, etc., women need to match perfection, and I hate to say it, but men are judged on potential, right? And I think that is very tasking for women, and that is where women need to actually play a very strong role for each other, and it has become even more important now because these visible are pretty invisible. So either you have to be super smart and you're able to detect these things, the undercurrents that are playing in the corporate environments, or you build yourself a tribe. And I actually believe that with a strong mentor, people that push you, support you to get to your goals, help you identify these barriers. That is what is needed in the world of today for women. A tribe and a village. And I think that considering the number of women, I remember when I was at ICI, I was one woman in the polyester business with 176 men. So, and that's the management team, right? So the environment has completely changed. The landscape has completely changed. We've got more women. We've got more working professionals. This is the time when we actually come together and support each other. And that is really how we can make a structural and a cultural change. I think that would be my 2 cents.
Very nuanced perspective. So, would you say the things simply have gotten harder or easier?
I think I think they're complex. I think it was as hard as it is now. Sorry, as it was before.
Yeah.
And, we need to manage and learn flexibility in the environment of today. And this is from a complete, by the way, cultural perspective that I'm talking about and structural perspective.
Yes.
But if you really get down to it, there are a lot of other things that women also need to identify that technology has come into play. For example, you've got AI now, and there's an initial hesitation that you don't want to accept anything that sort of makes your world a little more complicated. The perspective also has to change. It's not a complication. It is a tool for you to benefit the most.
Yeah.
And by the way, research also shows this, that women are more equipped to deal with the world of today than men. There's actually research. We need to get into it. We need to understand that, women are far more, their adaptability because of our bodies, because of our minds is far more. And that is basically what they need to take advantage of.
They need to leverage this strength that they ostensibly
Absolutely.
have. Yeah.
I think she's quite right, because you see, the women are always perceived as very detailed and very, they go into depth of everything. So that is a plus point that is with them by nature. So I think they can utilize that and can basically deepen into their careers also by utilizing them in a better way. I think.
So if it would be fair to say that women are multitaskers and men are not.
Yeah.
And well, I'm not going to kind of be passing on any comments on how we are supposed to be just taking care of homes. Where if you see on women in early Islamic timings, early on timings where women were doing all kind of work, and they were traders, and they were even in
Business
if you read the
people.
books, they were business, and they were into disciplines like they were also into policing.
Yes.
So it's a role that if somebody thinks that she has to do is of a housewife, I think it's wrongly thought about, because she's a multitasker. She can do so much. She can work. She can raise a family. She can be a good mother, a good daughter, a good wife, a good boss, and somehow. It's all experiential, and how I've seen men are not so capable of handling so many tasks at the same time. So this, I think, makes them very able and capable to take on the things that maybe is not as easy for men to take on, and women it just kind of comes out naturally. And on that account, she is able to do what she's doing. And if you see in a bigger perspective, that if you expect the same from a man, for her to be present in a situation, to be taking care of her work, to excel in what she's doing, then going back home and taking care of all that she needs to be done. So it's simply they're in a way superhumans.
Absolutely.
So I truly believe that.
Absolutely. I think that's a nice segue into. I'm sorry. Someone.
Sorry, no, I just wanted to add that we also spoke about how careers are no longer linear. And that is also where women's strength can actually be utilized and leveraged more, because hell, we're resilient, right? So I just wanted to say that, we need to prioritize our strengths, and that is what is essential.
That ties in well with Mr. Rooj's point, and also a good segue into our next question here, which is integrating work and life, the personal and the professional spheres, and not just balancing them, but integrating them seamlessly and achieving.
And how they do it, right?
Yeah, how do they do it?
So Hamza, I think I always go extempore.
Mhm.
I don't make notes. I just share my experiences and for women or girls to learn on how to get to where most of us have gotten. So the first thought that I think a girl goes through is that I can't do it. I'm not good enough.
Mhm.
How am I going to do it? There's so many people already doing it. Maybe I'm not good enough. I think the first thing I would like to say is everybody can do it. It's irrespective from which school you're coming from, what is your background. But if you have that the thought in you that no, I have to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm good enough, then of course you should step in. And there should be nothing stopping you. And all these women who have gotten somewhere have gone through a certain path. So this is the thing I would like to say to the younger generation, even to the women who are in their middle age, wanting to do something, getting somewhere in life. It's just the thought, yes, I can do it, and I'm going to start. Now, integration, it okay. So for me, I'm going to share my experience because obviously that's the best way one can learn. Is that once you decide to work, you have to first see what phase of life you're into. Now, for somebody who's single, like I was entering after my education into economics and finance, I was entering into a work life mode. My family gave me only a few options that either you can be a lawyer or you can look into something that is related to finance because you have not decided to do a medical degree. So these are your few options that you go into. Well, where my own desire was to go into more to NCA, to be into on more into an art side, and which my family thought was not a good enough to be in. So you choose from one of a more serious kind of work for yourself. So okay, I came into the financial side and I joined the banking. And even then I realized because I was single, I had all the time, and I could give so much more time to my work, and then henceforth, it wasn't as challenging for me to integrate work and my life because there were not a lot of demand on the life side.
Yeah.
So there were my parents and my siblings. I could manage. It was very nicely managed. Good. I used to put a lot of time into my office hours. Hence, I was the youngest branch manager in the history of Emirates Bank because I had all the time to give. Now,
That's
the
very
challenge started when I got married.
Mm.
And then I was like, okay, now there is a life and there that needs balances. There are in-laws, there's a husband, there are friends, and now what do I do? Now that was challenging. So I started prioritizing. So I said, okay, then what's important? Fine, I was still at the bank at that time. And I said, okay, my work meetings are important. My travel is important. I used to travel a lot because I was also training and we were traveling back and forth because obviously it was a lot of work needed to be done in different cities and maybe we were going to UAE. So no, it was a mix. So that was a challenge. The first thing that started coming from my family was, okay, you need to give time. So I started sectioning out, okay, this day, this time is for my family, this is for my mother, this is for my siblings, this is for my husband. It still worked. The most challenging situation came in when I decided to become an entrepreneur. And then I was having children at that time. Now, what do? You are starting up a business from zero. You have come into an industry which is not even recognized in the industry. You are now in a space where now there are a lot of challenges. You've stepped in a situation where people do not even acknowledge this as a job, as a business, as something that should have been taken over from somebody who's working in a financial sector. And then you have children. You're bearing children. You have a family. Now this is where the challenge starts. Now how do you prioritize? How do you? I remember my son was literally 2 years old when I decided to go into a full-time training. And I didn't know who to leave him with because I'm going to train myself. I've stepped into it. Okay, fine. I used to paint. I used to be a bit of an artist even when I was in the banking sector. But now this business needs a lot of learning. So I created my support system. So my advice to any girl who's entering to become an entrepreneur at an age where she's also bearing children and she's deciding to start a new business is to set up a support system. So unless you have a very strong support system, you will not be able to do what you are planning on to, which could be in a form of your mother, your sister, your mother-in-law, or a great help that you require. So for me, it was I adopted a family.
Right.
and I adopted a family. She was a widower, and she had 8 children. I adopted her and a family, and she adopted me. So a lot of time, when people ask me, how do you create this work-life balance? How do you integrate the two? You have to have a very strong support system. So my support system was this woman that I took her on as my own, and she took me as her own, and then the journey started. So when I was going for my trainings, I was gone for days. I had my son Ibrahim, and she was taking full-time care of him. And then when even I would come back, and I would have things sorted out, because it is not physically possible for a woman to be going out at a speed, at to be learning. So I mean, I had a lot of travel even when I was learning. So this is how one thing that you need to learn is to create a support system around herself. Now the second thing which I learned was, it's never a balance, it's an integration. So I started working from home, and I set up my first office in my house, because it was easier for me to manage my child, my life, and my work, and I was going up and down. And then the situation that I was in when I was starting was that, yes, a lot had to be managed. It's not easy raising a young kid, and then you end up having another one. Then after, once they were a bit more older, well, like when he was about 5 or 6 and Ashmiya was about 2 years, and I had my first outlet. That was the first commercial outlet, I would say. So, and I used to integrate my life. Okay, this is the time. Okay, fine, I can't go on the parent-teacher meeting, so Saad is going to go and attend that meeting. Okay, now this is important. I have to be there when he or she is unwell. So it was just kind of figuring out and prioritizing. It was prioritizing what is important. And one thing that I learned, and I keep telling the girls, and for anybody who's starting a business, you have to be very disciplined. You have to be extremely disciplined in your life to be able to do what you're requiring to do. Now, a lot of people would understand, and a lot of women would understand who are listening to this podcast or to this session, is that if you're not working, you get up on a day and you realize the entire day has gone by, and you're still figuring out, oh, I have to go attend an event in the evening, and I'm just preparing for that. Now, for us, we get up, we are in our gyms, we come back, we have a breakfast, we are in our office for the first meeting, we're in for the second meeting. I do the brides myself. Then I'm in doing 10 or 12 brides. I go back to my head office and for meetings, and maybe I am attending an event in the evening. But you are so well prepared. You are so disciplined. You're so organized that you're able to execute. And well, you have to understand, for me being a beauty business, you have to look a certain way. So when I end up in a gym, I have to look a certain way. I end up in a meeting, I have to look in a certain way. So the discipline is the first order. And you will only be able to integrate, or you will only be able to balance when you're disciplined. So this is something that is difficult for people to do, because it requires to be available. I work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, maybe sometimes more. But this is the discipline that helps me to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Highly interesting. So basically, it's cutting the clutter, being disciplined,
Yeah.
knowing what you want,
Prioritizing things.
Yeah, seeing it through,
Yeah.
and looking good while you do it.
Then you do it, and you have to have a support system.
Yeah.
You can't do it on your own. And I would say that, yes, my husband was very supportive. My in-laws were supportive in a way that they didn't have demands from me. I was managing things, but physical presence, they let me, because you can say that no, Pakistan में तो आपकी शादी होगी तो in-laws बताएंगे आपने क्या करना है.
Yes.
You have to be allowed, you have to be permitted to be doing certain things. While if I look at from my religion point of view, all this is not necessary, but still, because you are part of that system, you've come into that system. Now you are bound to be a part of that. So what do they let you do? What do they don't let you do? What your husband allows? So I would say my in-laws graciously allowed me to do this. At the same time, I was expected to run the house perfectly. My husband was very, very cooperative, but at the same time, you have to make sure that everything is being done perfectly. It's not that the food is not being cooked and the house is not clean and the kids are not taken care of.
Unlike men, you cannot prioritize your professional pursuits over. It cannot come at the expense of the household.
Yeah. So then how do you do it? You have to be extremely disciplined. You have to be ensuring everything, and that support system helps you in whatever way you may call it. So this is my experience and my journey to what got me.
Highly interesting.
Yeah.
Ms. Amna, if you would like to jump in.
I would like to second what Hifza has said, that work-life balance, if you ask me, is
Right.
And the terminology that she has used, work-life integration, is important. I have belonged for more than 2 decades to the textile industry, which is the industry it has a very demanding career. The variables are intense, and unlike Hifza, I didn't have a support system. So it's very easy for me to today sit here and have a conversation over it. But when I was living it, it seems impossible that मैंने वो किया कैसे. But having followed my career very consistently with a lot of code of ethic and having raised my 2 children, um, it has all come at a cost. They are good days, they are bad days, and different seasons होते हैं. उस season में sometimes you have to be present in one space more than the other, and the guilt is real if you are at work. आपको hindsight में परेशानी होती है what is happening at home, and vice versa. You could and those moments जो true leader आप में से निकलता है is how well you recalibrate yourself in those moments. चाहे आप घर पे हो या आप दफ्तर की space में हो, and that is what brings out the true leader in you, how you realign yourself. Secondly, you have to be slightly soft. आजकल की औरत से बहुत एक्सपेक्टेशन रखी जाती है. जो हिफ्जा ने बातें मेंशन की, they have to tick all those boxes. It's not easy to tick those boxes कि आपका मूड भी अच्छा हो, you're looking good, you're performing well, everything has to be picture perfect. It comes at a cost. You have to be your own cheerleader. Nobody is going to ask for you, nobody is going to speak for you. You are your own cheerleader. You have to write your journey. You need to have a tribe, as Maliha said. You need to have people to have to fall back on. मैं पुराने ज़माने से आज का ज़माना कंपेयर करूँ तो एक्सपेक्टेशन बहुत चेंज हो गई है. Women do have a seat on the table. They do have a voice. They are looked at. They are heard. पहले ये बात एग्जिस्ट नहीं करती थी. Secondly, the expectation from a married woman is also very different today. जो उस ज़माने की expectation थी, it has changed over time. So I think in today's world we are at an advantage. We should use it to the best of our ability, and give yourself some grace for the seasons that you have survived, because I think we have all come a long way.
Absolutely. Some more than others, clearly. Let's segue into our next section here, which is about handling traditional societal pressures and workplace issues. So from family expectations to workplace norms, Pakistani women face unique pressures. We would love to get some perspective as to how the panelists here have handled these challenges while building their excellent careers, and what lessons others can glean from this.
Acha Hamza, I'm going to have to thank you for asking this question, because I genuinely believe that we don't have a lot of conversation happening about the challenges that women face publicly. Because होता ये है कि बहुत ज़्यादा आपकी अपनी दिमाग में एक battle चल रही है, invisible, आप चीज़ें सोच रहे हो, you're going through something, but you think that you are alone in the struggle. But when you sit and you talk to other women who are probably going through the same thing, you realize that, you're not alone in this. I come from a place of privilege, when it comes to support systems. I had that support from my parents before I got married. After getting married, I had the same support, rather more, from my husband, who without question was able to support me. Kahan pe aapko chahiye meri help, I'll be there. And when a woman starts talking about her challenges, there's a negative connotation to that, कि अगर इसको opportunity भी मिल रही है, इसको chance भी मिल रहा है, इसके पास support है, what does she have to complain about? She's being ungrateful,
Thankless,
and she's being difficult. और workplace में बहुत ज़्यादा इस चीज़ के ऊपर वो किया जाता है कि you then tend to become quiet about your struggles, because then you're like, अगर मैंने इस बारे में complain की, they're going to be like, oh, this is why we don't hire women, because उनके बड़े मसले होते हैं. But the thing is, we're genuinely going through a lot, because a woman is wearing multiple hats throughout the day. Now, अगर मैं अपनी example दूँ, I wake up in the morning and I'm the default parent, right? Because motherhood added another layer to the sort of pressures that I'm already facing. I have to get my kid ready for school. I have to get myself ready. बहुत ज़्यादा time constraint है, ठीक है? She's having meltdowns. She's only 3. She's recently started school. I don't have time for that, because I have to show up for a job that requires immense focus. और उसको drop करने के बाद मैं office के बाद उसका school में time आता है. Now I want to be there as a parent, because most of the moms are there. And the days that I don't show up, she complains to me, I wanted you there. I didn't want Baba to come. And even though I have the support, मैं अपने पर वो pressure ले रही हूँ कि मैं फिर भी traffic में निकल रही हूँ. I'm going to be there 15 minutes early, so that when she steps out of a class, she's able to see her mom. And that is rewarding, right? But उसको
think she doesn't want to let go of me. ठीक है, she says, oh, you know, Mama, I want you to come home with me. अगर मैं उसको drop off कर रही हूँ घर, तो she's clinging on to me. There's been times when I've spent an hour at home just soothing her because then she doesn't want to go back to the office. Because how do I explain to a 3-year-old that Mama also wants to build a career? And I come back emotionally exhausted when I've left her crying, and I'm really worried about who's looking after her because I do have a very good support system, but उसकी emotional well-being तो मेरा काम है, and I'm the one who's choosing to step out of the house and work. So when I come back exhausted at my desk, mentally exhausted, I'm drained, but I feel like I don't think I can go about it right now कि मैं इस वक्त ऐसे फील कर रही हूँ, इसलिए क्योंकि वो choice मेरी थी. I decided to do this. So there's that one thing. As a woman who works in law, in the legal career, you see there's immense progress when it comes to representation of women in the legal field. Some women are breaking barriers. The sitting abhi jo aapka Lahore ki High Court ki Chief Justice hai, that's a woman, Ms. Alia Leena. You see a lot of women coming into law. And while all of that is there, in the legal fraternity, credibility and perception also carries an enormous weight. So आपको बहुत ज़्यादा feel होता है that you have to consistently be exceptional at your work to be recognized as someone equal, that you're performing. So एक वो barrier भी आ रहा है, फिर आपकी internal आप बहुत ज़्यादा self doubts हो रहे हैं, imposter syndrome. Now, when it comes to policies, law, they're very inclusive to women. With time, और ज़्यादा होता जा रहा है. You have laws in place to protect women against harassment at workplace. कोई leave लो तो वो बस में जा सकता है. आपकी certain quota है जो instructions आए हैं कि you have to have women at the workplace. But what that does to you is that when you look at the senior management, for example, and the representation of women in the C-suite, the number thins out, and then what that does to women who work at the mid or junior level is that you wonder how that's going to pan out for you. Yeah. Because when you're finally given a seat at the table, you're wondering, am I only ticking a box, or do I actually deserve this position? Mm-hmm. And ये constant एक struggle है. फिर उसके बाद when you're going home, you have to be present at home also. Being married, being a mom, I have a lot of things that I'm worrying about while being at the job also. Flexibility, multinationals, because there's a culture. Yeah. कि flexibility वहाँ पे है. COVID obviously really helped with that also. Okay, everybody understood this was something that could happen. Mm-hmm. But lots of organizations in Pakistan are not doing that. Yeah. And even if you have policies in place, you feel this guilt taking it. I mean, एक emergency होगी तभी आप work from home ले सकते हो. And when you do have that sort of a relationship with your line manager, कि you're able to talk about your problems, और आप ले भी लेते हो, but in your head you're feeling guilty.
Very guilty.
You're thinking, I'm asking for too much, and I will lose credibility. Yeah. Whereas that should not be the case. Oh. So what I've done, and what I'm still doing, and I think एक constant work in progress है, is that I feel we should be very open with our communication and with our conversations that happen with your line managers. Mm. What's expected of you and what you can deliver. Mm. And what that does is it helps create certain boundaries also. Mm. So like I'm very clear, after 6, I cannot be in the office. I'll take my work home if I have to, but मैं बैठ नहीं सकती because I have to be at home in time for bedtime. Because वो सोएगी नहीं किसी से, मैंने ही उसको सुलाना है. And it's a marathon, right? घर जाना है, foreign. You don't have time for yourself. You have to keep doing these things also. At the same time, what that does is you can't expect the other person to know what you're going through and what your struggles are. And only if we have such honest conversations and we normalize the struggles, are we going to be able to evolve as a society and are going to be more inclusive of the struggles and understand what is happening in a woman's life.
Absolutely.
The second thing is breaking generational patterns. I'll give you an example. While I was making a career, despite having the support from my parents, my mom would often tell me कि असल सक्सेस ये नहीं है कि आपको क्या डेजिग्नेशन मिली और हाउ मच यू अर्निंग इन द ऑफिस. रियल सक्सेस है हाउ यू बैलेंसिंग बोथ होम एंड योर करियर. सो व्हाट दैट डिड वाज आई हैड दिस I thought कि ये एक प्रेशर है, ये दोनों चीज़ें मैंने ही करनी है मैनेज somehow. This is, if I've made this choice of stepping out of the house, I have to make sure that I make both ends meet. ना मैं इधर लैक करूँ as a mom or as a wife or a daughter-in-law, ना मैं उधर लैक करूँ as being whatever I've been given, with the tasks that are assigned to me. But you can't be doing so much. You're only one person. You can't be present everywhere.
And so what I thought was, if I'm feeling conflicted, that doesn't mean that I'm failing. And that you can lean into support systems without guilt. If I'm not available at home to feed my child lunch, that's okay. She's being fed, right? मैंने instructions दी हुई हैं, मुझे पता है कि she's home safe. That's okay. That doesn't make me a bad mom. So breaking those generational patterns one by one is also something that can really help. And it's a work in progress, but I believe कि slowly and gradually you start believing it, and that works out.
And then there are cameras, and then you can have cameras. I remember I used to have cameras at home, and I would open up my camera and see what
The nanny cam or whatever.
yeah, we had cameras all over. I mean, technology has helped a lot.
Absolutely. So it's about leveraging the right tool and putting that framework in place. And so that you don't have to be there for everything.
I totally.
So-
in a room with someone lately, and that man said to me that if you have asked for this level of equality, then accept it. Don't do the man-woman thing in the room. I felt like saying that what got you here didn't get me here.
Yeah.
My journey is very different than yours, and when we are going to step out of this room and leave the workplace and go home, again my journey will be very different than yours. How are we saying it that men and women are equal? I still don't think that's the case.
Yeah, I think they don't understand the concept of equality and equity.
But the men are also now using it to their advantage, and they are re-quoting us time and again.
But I have a different perspective, and this comes with a little bit of history. So we always talk about societal pressures on Pakistani women, and we usually point outwards, right? It's always about family expectations, cultural norms, guilt. But we also have to understand that the true pressure, like Amna mentioned, Sundas mentioned, is that you constantly feel like you're the weaker one in the room, right? And I think that's
you're made to feel that way.
Yes, and it is very pertinent to understand why. We grew, while growing up, we were told to be careful, don't be too loud, adjust, don't push too hard. And what that translates into work is we prove our credibility not once, not twice, 3 times. You are appreciated for being cooperative, but the second you question, that is when you are, not. And then, you're often mistaken as if you're there to support, right? But that's not your function. Having said all of that, I realized, and this was a conversation I had with my chacha, who was at the time COO for Pepsi Global. He sat me down and he said, Maliha, you are entering a man's world. And just remember that you are a woman. So be a woman. And it didn't really sink in, but the day that it did, right, the shift happened. Because then I realized that I cannot lean into somebody else's strengths. I have to lean into mine. So in order to counter this narrative of men owning the corporate world, I need to be a woman. I have strengths. I multitask without fail, in a systematic way, not in a scattered way. I can hold deadlines, people, consequences, processes in my brain at the same time, right? I'm emotionally attuned. I can sense disengagement. I can read rooms. Now, this is not me being soft. It's risk management. That is why I'm able to sell much better than my brother. Okay. So I realize that I lead by example, not by fear. I have a team that actually follows me, that trusts me. And honestly, these are not nice to have traits.
Yeah.
These are the traits that are essential to operate complex organizations. And I think the day that women own that, the narrative will completely change.
Absolutely.
We must be women in a man's world. We should be proud of being a woman. And of course, navigating cultural norms, family expectations, like everybody was mentioning, is a real challenge. But I think we are completely equipped to do it because we can take on challenges on multiple fronts.
Yeah.
Having said that, it's not easy. And I do feel that our families, our support systems, mentors, like I spoke about having your tribe, etc. You also need to establish your boundaries, and communication, like Sundas mentioned, is also key. But let's be unapologetic about it. Let's be intentional. We must intend our conversations. We should always talk about how this is important to me, why I am doing this. They should be succinct, short conversations without defending them. We do not have to defend our need to operate in this world. We should clearly state them and expect support in return. Having said all of that, we cannot be apologetic. We must set expectations early at work. Really, my lesson was that instead of erasing differences, we need to refine them. So we need to be confident, we need to align, and we need to think long term because it's painful right now. This conversation, this environment might be painful and very difficult today, but tomorrow it's going to help us achieving what we want to achieve. And we must recognize that being a woman also comes with power. And the moment you change the question from how do I fit in to what do I uniquely bring is when things truly change.
I think it's about ownership as well. पहले तो औरत it's about ownership as well. A woman has to own herself first because throughout your life and your career, your journey, everybody wants a piece of you. Abhi, all of these women have been saying how it has been a struggle at home with either a parent or a spouse or your children or even तो जो आप अपने साथ at war हैं पहले तो आप अपनी war को settle करें and then you being a woman to another woman give each other that space as well, give that ownership as well. Only when you will own who you are is the world going to own you. हम तो उस self doubt से ही बाहर नहीं आते हैं. So and that's very self inflicted.
But also Amna, when you say that कि हम self doubt से बाहर नहीं आते हैं और हम खुद को ही बार बार देखते रहते हैं, am I capable enough, can I do it, and am I good enough, okay she's doing it, can I do it too, okay I'm not that educated or I'm not that equipped to be in a certain business. I think what we see now is, yes, there's a large number of women who have come down to working in corporates and as entrepreneurs and as in different industries, but there are a lot more of us that can work. I mean, I am talking to all my brides and I'm telling them, girls, you have to work, you have to work, you have to work, you have to work. And 50% of the time I get a very positive response. I say, ma'am, we are going to work. We are already working. We'll continue to work. Okay, tell us what to do. And the rest of the 50% would say, no, I'm getting married to relax in life. And I'm okay. I have to raise a family. I don't see myself working. Okay, I don't want to work. I am not allowed to work. And all these apprehensions, I think they have to keep them on a side. And my request to all the females out there is, and the message that I'm giving again and again, that your sanity and your life depends on the fact that you will be working or you will be sitting home. And even if you come from the richest of the background or the most privileged of the backgrounds or the most sorted backgrounds, you still need to work because that's the way forward. That's how we're all going to survive, and that's how you're going to get your respect, and that's how you're going to get your sanity. And then this is the same question comes back: how are we going to manage it? How are we going to manage all this, and how are we going to have a family and be still working, and how I'm going to come to office or maybe work from home? And this is exactly what I tell them: discipline is the key.
And I think another important thing is, like we all talked about, society pressures and घर के pressures, but I would like to say here that वो pressures हैं. Sometimes there are two kinds of pressures. Sometimes it's not only about your immediate family. It's more about the people around you. Like I'll quote an example of myself. I'm a mother to 3 children. My youngest one is a special needs child. When he was born and I figured it out, it was a very difficult moment for me because बहुत मुश्किल होता है ये फैसला करना कि can I continue with my job or do I have to look up and take care of my child. और उस टाइम के ऊपर my entire family was very supportive. नहीं अरूज तुम कर लोगी, you should continue doing your work, इसको भी हम support system से manage करेंगे. But people far off me and people around me जो बहुत immediate नहीं थे, they were so critical. But then I realized, nahi, this is me who has to stand up for my own self. and I'm very happy
I'm
about it.
so glad.
कि
you did that.
मैंने ये किया. It took me a while to understand this कि नहीं, I have to
Stand
be
up for
guilt
yourself.
free. I have to be guilt free कि मैं कुछ गलत नहीं कर रही. And in those times I managed the kind of job I am doing. I am 24 hours round the clock. There are things going on. You also understand the kind of pressures we face. But at the same time, I took out time for my child. I took him to therapies. He's mashallah in a regular school now, goes there with a therapist. But at the same time, ऐसा भी होता है कि I really appreciate my organization in a way कि at times में बहुत critical meetings भी होती हैं, but I take my phone and go out because I cannot miss his call. Because the moment I'll miss his call, तो इसका मतलब है कि पूरे घर में एक तूफान आ जाएगा कि why mama didn't speak to me.
But
I
Anuj,
wanted to speak.
But see, what nerves of steel are required from your end to
was-
having
and I'd
achieved
say
what
that
you have achieved.
Hand of applause to you on
Yes,
that. That
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
think we need to start being a tribe today
Yes.
and tell you how
I think
proud
so
we are of
brave,
you.
So brave of you, and I think you are a better mother now. Had you been, I think if a woman gives up on her career, and then if you had been in that situation, I think you're a better mother now, and you're doing more for him. If you were home
Yeah.
and just sulking and thinking all that could have been done, and I think another thing what I would like to say, Hamza, is other than what we're discussing, is that what matters the most in today's day and age is the financial level or the financial ability of a woman. So any one of us and all of us who are here, if you are financially capable, if you can take care of yourself, there are so many things that you'll be able to take care of. So now in my organization, we have about 500 plus women working, and I think the first thing we started doing was, yes, we were giving them all kind of securities. So they have the free training, they have food security, they have medical security, they have legal security, a lot more. And then we gave them this assurance that we are going to send your children to school. So if a woman is financially able and capable, the first thing she wants to do, no matter what class she's coming from, is she wants to send her child to the best school. So, and imagine the capacity now we have to take decisions of where they're going to study, what are they going to become, is because you have that financial leverage. And maybe being from any section of the society, maybe she's from a middle class, or she may be from a high middle class, or maybe she's from wherever she comes from. The moment she may become financially able, she is able to decide the future of her child. And I think what I see in my organization is that all the married girls, either they're single parent or they're a couple, they're now sending their kids to school. And this is what we talk about at Padha Likha Pakistan. So Malia is supporting these educational projects. I'm trying to give my 2 bits in that by helping women to send them to school. So the financial side of a woman is extremely important for her to have any word or say in the society where she is. And I think what I want to tell Aruj here is that when I came into this industry, which was not even an industry when I joined in, and there was a lot of criticism around it, I stopped listening to everybody. And I kept saying, I'm going to do what I want to do and I don't care what anybody thinks. Because it is very important for us okay, ये क्या कह रहे हैं, और वो वाली फुप्पो क्या कह रही हैं, और ये वाली मामी क्या कह रही हैं, और वो क्या कह रही हैं. Let them say it's my life. And as long as I know what I'm doing is right, I'm going to stick to it, and I'm going to put some, I'm going to close my ears to all this noise and to this conversation, because it's my life and I know where I'm going. And all they're doing is criticizing me.
It's just noise.
And then when I get a lot of criticism on the way I'm working, or all that I'm doing, or all I have done in my life, is by people who have never done anything in life. So I refuse to take criticism from people who have not done anything. I'm good to go. If she is criticizing me, okay, fine, there's something I need to know. Or these girls are saying something, fine, I need to know. But just sitting home and making me a point of criticism, don't do that. And who would understand the struggle of a mother who's raising a mentally or a physically challenged child? I mean, what all is hurting her, we don't know. And all we can do is help her, support her to be sane. And thankfully, if she's decided to work, that has also kept her sane. Because you actually lose your sanity seeing your child in that state every day. So there is a lot more that we can talk about. There is so much that can be said. But I think, if I have to conclude this, is that I think it is extremely important for all of the women to work, no matter if she's working from home or she's coming to to an organization or she's in a multinational, she has to work to be sane. And if at this point in time now, Hamza, where I'm at least 25 years of my working life, I think that's the best decision I decided to take at that time was not to leave my work, because my children are grown up in terms of my son is already finished his bachelor's, my daughter is in A levels. Now they have their own lives. Now what do I do now? Sit home, wait for them, torture them every half an hour where you are and what you're doing? No, it's not possible. This is another generation we are talking about. This is the Gen Z generation that I'm dealing with. And you can't be intruding into the life. You need to have your own life. You need to have your own financial independence. You need to have your own sanity. You need to have your own position. You need to have your own place in the society and in this world and for your own self. So there are no two things and there are no two questions about women sitting home and just raising families. And now saying that where I am right now, a lot of women come to me asking me, tell us what to do. And they're maybe in their late 40s or they're in their early 40s. And they need directions to what we should do now. And then I sit and guide them. But in my heart, I know it's a bit too late. But I still give them suggestions. Okay, you can do this and you can do that. Or maybe, this is what you can look into. And I do kind of mentor them. But the best kind of mentoring I can give to a woman in her 20s or early 20s or 30s is, for God's sake, get up and start doing something. Life is not about just waking up late and taking your breakfast and thinking, okay, fine, now I step out for some shopping or maybe going to a gym and late night, maybe attend an event. That's not life, because that's going to end and your career is going to stay with you. And you have to learn to create an integration between your work life and your social life and your family life and to move on and to think of yourself as somebody who's a multitasker and can do it. And the little thing that I expect is discipline, because that's going to help you achieve so much more.
To achieve in the interest of your own sanity
Yes.
and some financial agency that you can then direct into the household.
Of
into
course,
the
and
betterment
you
of the
should.
household.
You see, in this day and age, I hear a lot of women saying, I'm not going to contribute in the house. It's mine. No. Now the times have changed. Life has become very challenging. Both of you have to work to give a respectable life to yourself and to your children, and it is okay to contribute. Why
Bilkul.
not? I mean, when I hear women saying, I'm not going to contribute. Why? Why are you?
No, this climate, single income household ka to koi
Is
scene
not
nahi hai.
possible. I remember, Hamza, when I started, I'll tell you an interesting story. Coming back from a privileged household in terms of from both the sides, Saad and I decided not to take anything and from our parents, because I think it's their money and they need to. So I said, okay, Saad, I want my kid to be admitted into this school. And I had just left my job, and everybody was very amazed at why I've left such a position where I was financially very capable and decided to step into a line of work where I was just learning myself, and I was spending all my money into putting what I had into my learning stream. And he said, well, we don't have the money to give the admission fee. I said, no, this is not going to happen. He has to go to the school. I'm not going to ask my mother. You're not going to ask your parents, and we're going to do it. And then I remember I had recently learned to do makeup, because I spent quite a lot of money learning that skill from different parts of the, I went to different places and learned it. I conducted a learning class. I did a 7-day session. And not only that I could pay his admission fee, I was able to save for his 1-year tuition fee also. So, it's like, you just
Wonderful.
have to do it.
Yeah.
And we all have to understand that even when you step into business, it's not the first day you start making zillions and tons loads of money to be, you take little steps along the way. And I tell my struggle stories to everybody, because I want them to understand that you have to start working from somewhere. I mean, I remember starting my business from 500,000 rupees in one room. And I refused to take any help from anyone. And people were laughing, and they were like, oh my God, look at her. She's left such a prestigious job and she's come into this, and look what she's doing. She's become a nai. She's cutting people's hair and she's doing makeup. Fine, good enough. But let's see where it takes you eventually. So ये सब challenges तो आएंगे और सबने face करने हैं. But I always think that when you give mother that leverage where she becomes financially independent, she would make sure to put her child in the best shape.
Yes.
She would make sure that she gives the best provision to her children.
And that's another area where men and women differ.
Yeah.
Where they spend.
Yeah.
That's another. And It also ties in with what Ms. Maliha said about being unapologetically a woman in a man's world and navigating it as a woman in a man's world.
It is very difficult. And now we have not, I think, I don't know how long this conversation has to go on, but the kind
As long
of
as it needs to.
yeah. So the harassment that you feel in a workplace, and that kind of harassment I saw even in multinationals, this was beyond belief. And you're expected to have a cup of tea with your boss, and you have to smile. And if you're not smiling, maybe you're not going to be there. That tomorrow your assignment is changed. And how do you navigate around with that? And you kind of be very stern and tell them, fine, I mean, this is not going to happen. And these girls are now talking about, like Sundar is saying about the laws that are being made now, and you can go and talk about it. In our times, no. I started in these environments back in the 90s, and it was very, very challenging. And how you go up on your own strength and not by using your other skills is also a challenge in its own. And I think we did it. And now I tell girls, all you have to be is not to be scared. And if you know your job well, and if you know what you're doing, you can go up without using all these tools, and you will not let these men harass you. Consequently, when I made Hifsa Khan, I knew the kind of challenges I faced in all the different organizations that I worked. And I said, okay, I'm not going to let my girls go through this harassment. So while I was told that you're not taking male technicians, you're not being able to do this business because they are the best in hair cutting and coloring. I said, well, I will do it, don't worry. God will help me. Among these 500 girls, we don't even have a single male technician. We have our training center that is powered by L'Oreal International. And we train these girls. We take them from different social backgrounds. They've been coming from bricklanes. They come from orphanages. They come from very, very abandoned families. And I said, you don't know, girls, what it is like not to have harassment on the platforms. You don't know how it is like when you're not told that you are the lesser beings who have come to do this work. So there are a lot of aspects when it comes to women coming out of their home, especially the girls that I cater to, who have to not only make sure that they have cooked, they have cleaned, they have done all their tasks, they have no help. And how they come? Are they coming on taxis? They're coming on buses. They're coming on bikes. They're coming walking. Nobody's even seeing the plight of these women who come to work. And maybe she's not even eaten before she left. And when she comes home, she's hungry, and maybe she's unwell. And then she's expected to work for those 8 hours, and then she has to go home the same way and do all the tasks.
The second shift.
Shift, because her mother-in-law or mother is waiting for her. So, I mean, all I could do on my part was to make life comfortable for them. So one, how they're going to come is my responsibility. What is she going to eat when she comes? We serve food twice a day to people who are coming in early and then in the afternoon. And if I wish, I could send food with them also. And then all her medical needs are taken care of. Now, she doesn't have to worry about her health, her husband's health, or her child's health because they're all sponsored. And then all that is possibly in between. So women at different levels, like these are privileged women. They're coming from privileged backgrounds. We all are. And what about those all women who are striving to live, to earn for herself and her family, where unfortunately the men in that particular side of the world, they're not working. So they are into drugs, they're into beating them up, they're into beating they're going to take all the money that they're earning. So we have to provide that security that no, you're not going to give all your money. So this is a long story of women empowerment, right? Coming from, you have to see it from the lowest grounds, standing at that level where she comes in from a brick lane, or she comes in from an orphanage, or she comes in from a Darul Aman, or she comes from a family that she has been abandoned, or she's coming from where she gets beaten up every day. To then going up to all of us, there is a lot that there is to be talked about. There is a lot that you need to do if you wish to be a part of this business.
And give back. Yeah.
And give back.
So you're doing a lot of help, and it's going a long way. Yes,
Ji,
please.
Malia.
So I'm so glad that you brought this up, because I actually have an experience here. Now, with the educational institute that I'm running, we're also training teachers, and the teachers are also coming from very similar backgrounds. It is transformational, and the change is beautiful to see, because they are a part of a group of career women who are sitting and helping them grow. They're mentoring the teachers. We obviously, they ka matlab hai my principal, my directors, etc. They're coaching them, they're training them. Learning is non-negotiable. Within 1 year, I kid you not, the entire dynamic changes. From a girl that comes in who's hardly able to smile,
Yeah.
she flourishes.
Love.
And it's not only the financial independence, mind you, it's also the emotional, the mental independence, and it's remarkable. Having said that, 90% of them go get married, will go through all of that, but you still have made a
They will
mark
come
on
back.
the remaining 10%.
Malia, they will come back.
No, but you have made a mark on the 10%.
Yeah, and they will come back. You know, I rest assured they're going to come back.
And they're going to be more supportive mothers.
More supportive mothers. I think we at our levels we help them to come back. I think the most difficult part which I saw in this, that yes, we groomed them, we made them mentally, physically, financially able, capable, and then we help them to come back on work. We tell them, okay, fine, and they are very brave girls. So they would go on their maternity leave. We will pay them for 40 days. We give them some more time if they need to. Then they come back. Then we give them relaxation and time. And they are the best workers when they come back. And then not only one, they producing 2, 3. I normally tell them 2 is a good number, but chale 2, 3. And they're now such strong women. It's unbelievable. 20% of my women are coming on bikes. They know how to drive now. I wish I could give that out to the entire 100% of them. But there is a lot more when you talk about women empowerment.
It's very heartening story.
It's a lot more.
Yeah. It serves to take us to the next question here that we have, which is about building career growth frameworks. So I'd love for you guys to talk about how women can come to define their professional identities, make sure their work gets noticed, and what sort of steps can they take to grow in their careers, if you could share an experiential sort of aspect for that.
I think they should not shy away and should always present their work. There is a lot of shyness and there is a lot of hesitation in women, which I feel even in today's era, that they don't want to come up and tell us about their work, how they have did it, and what are the results and everything. You see, presenting something is very important, and they should come up and they should get acknowledged for what they have done. Yeah,
somebody has to give her the confidence that she can do it.
Yeah,
and either that confidence is given by somebody, or she gets it herself. But yeah, that again,
Confidence is key.
The confidence key. A lot of time when we say behind every successful man there's a woman, I would also like to say that behind every successful woman there's a man. And it could be your father, it can be your brother, it can be your husband. In my case, it was my husband. And a lot of time I hear that my brother supported me. I don't know, I was with somebody yesterday, I was with somebody, and she said, my brother helped me get to where I am. And she was doing some phenomenal work in IT. And for a lot of people, it's their fathers. So it's vice versa. It's vice versa. It's your husband. I remember still, I used to tell my husband when I was learning, मुझसे तो मेकअप कराने कोई नहीं आएगा. I'm telling you, कोई नहीं आएगा. And he would say, you're so good. I said, but nobody sees it, मतलब I'm good, so what? And for the first 3-4 years, देखा मैंने आपको कहा था ना कोई नहीं आएगा. And he would tell me every time, relax. You keep doing your job. Keep putting your best foot forward. Keep showing the world the best that you can do. Focus on what you're doing. Everybody will come. And trust me, I wasn't sure what he was saying was right, but then people came. So behind every woman, there is a man. Because I can say behind every woman, there can be a woman also. But generally, to my own gender, I don't know if they're that supportive in terms of, if you say about friends, or men support each other in a form of a group or in a form of a circle. But for women, it is a bit challenging. I wish that women could support each other the way men support each other. It is a bit of a rare phenomena, because we'll talk about that another time. But I would fairly like to say that behind every successful woman, there is a man of some sorts.
It's a very interesting subversion.
It could be your son also, I don't know. But generally, when you are just starting, either it's your brother, husband, or your father.
These discussions often have a tendency to devolve into silos and a men versus women sort of affair. So that's a very interesting sort of thing that you can assimilate from a male culture, that women can learn from men.
Yeah.
In that sense of supporting each other.
I think it's a support system. And I would say at least a good 80% of us have some kind of a men support.
Mm.
And the best combination is that both the husband and wife are successful and they're supporting each other.
Mm.
So that's a very rare combination.
Yeah.
When you do see such combination, you call them power couples.
Yeah.
Because the husband is not insecure of the wife's success.
Yeah.
The wife is not insecure of the woman's success. That's a rare combination to see. But if you can get that, imagine what kind of a powerhouse it would be. And we should, all look into doing that.
Mm.
But then one has to have, patience and acceptance of other person's ability and success. But nevertheless, we can go on talk. You can go on talking.
No,
about
point
it.
well taken. Ms. Amna, would you like to step in?
If you were to ask me about career framework, I always ask people, what is your leadership style? And there are various leadership styles that people have. You could be a strategist, you could be a relationship builder sort of a person. So, बहुत early on in your career, ये define करना बहुत ज़रूरी होता है. And this message is mostly to the younger generation who think very differently than us, whose struggles are very different than us. So एक तो ये बात बहुत important है. Secondly, पहला एक ज़माना होता था, which was the age of information,
Right.
where IQ would be considered to be the thing. But moving forward, आजकल के ज़माने में the right balance of EQ and IQ takes more precedence. ये thought leadership का ज़माना है, how you behave amongst people, how you play on that grit. That is the key to a good leadership, and that is what will take you a long way. So जब हम अपने careers को, एक तो होता है कि हम daily firefighting में involved होते हैं, but when you come out of it, you look at yourself from a macro point of view. These are the touch points that everybody should groom themselves, because ये आप ही को अपनी journey travel करनी होती है. There is no such thing as instant gratification. If all of us are sitting here today, we have all come through a long way. हम सब ने एक जर्नी ट्रैवल की है. सो मैं शायद 25 साल पहले बैठ के इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे इस तरह से बात नहीं कर सकती थी जो एक्सपीरियंसेस आज हम कैरी कर रहे हैं. सो अगेन, आजकल की जनरेशन को इंस्टेंट ग्रेटिफिकेशन का बहुत सिवियर मसला है, एंड दैट इज़ अ मैसेज वी एज वुमेन शुड सेंड इट आउट देयर. आपको अलॉन्ग योर जर्नी एक मेंटोर चाहिए होता है. यू कैन नॉट डू दिस अलोन, यू कैन नॉट डू विद फेलो वुमेन. आपको चाहिए ऑपोजिट सेक्स का ही मेंटोर, जैसे इसने हिफ्जा ने कहा कि देयर इज ऑलवेज अ मैन बिहाइंड अ वुमन. एब्सोल्युटली, मेरी जिंदगी में have been very many men who've played a strong role, especially my spouse. So that sort of mentorship is also very important. You should not segment yourself. You should go knee deep into work, get your hands dirty. And that is where the real experience lies. So there's a whole world out there for us to conquer. It totally depends on how you want to take on it.
Highly interesting and illuminating. So let's progress on to our final section here, which is a bit of a complete the sentence sort of exercise. We just want to get very quickly, very tersely, your takes on some topics that I'll throw out right now. So let's start with Ms. Maliha first. Just complete the sentence, if you will. A woman leader's secret superpower is
Multitasking.
multitasking. There we go. The next one is also for you. The leadership skill women are underestimated for is
Leading.
leading.
Okay?
Yeah.
Leading.
that's clever. Okay, let's move on to Miss Hifsa for the next two. If more women led this space, we would see more
Empathy.
Absolutely. The next one is also for you. The habit that can change a woman's leadership journey is
Discipline.
consistent. Next is Ms. Amna. The one myth about women leaders I want to break is
Just be yourself. Don't have to be aggressive. Don't have to be in a man's world. Be yourself. Take ownership.
be a woman in a man's world. If I could mentor my younger self, I'd say.
To believe in yourself.
Next, two questions for Ms. Aruj. The skill every woman leader should invest in is.
And I think the leadership's qualities and to keep themselves up to date.
That's essential. And the biggest challenge women leaders face today is
Is clarity on their roles, probably.
And last but not least, finishing strong here with Seda Sundas. An empowered woman is someone who,
Can make choices for herself independently.
right? Equality at work means,
When your seat at the table is not being questioned on the basis of your gender.
or you're having to justify your seat
Yeah.
on the table. One skill every leader needs today is
Approachability.
approachability, and this goes on both sides of the
Yes, definitely.
coin. And finally, empowerment starts with
Self-belief.
self-belief.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies. It's a highly illuminating and insightful session with you. I hope our audience enjoyed it as much as I did.
And thank you, Hamza, for
Thank you.
taking it so nicely
Yeah,
and
and not
smoothly.
not taking any of the criticism against men personally.
Yeah. No, but we were
Since you were the only one in the room.
Yeah.
but we didn't criticize you.
Yeah.
We did.
थोड़ा soft ball रखा
हाँ,
आपने.
no,
Yeah.
I would not criticize them.
Yeah.
They have their own issues. They have their own problems.
Yeah, बिल्कुल. So overall, a very productive session with you. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
taking
much.
out
Thank
the time,
you, Hamza.
everyone. Shukriya.
Thank you.